You keep hearing that building a presence on social media is the be all and end all, and possibly the all of growing your audience beyond your personal network. After all, there are billions of people on there. So you try to post as often as you can, but it always just feels a little bit like a spaghetti wall situation. You should post more and be consistent and follow trends. Video, lives, TikTok, but it feels impossible, not to mention pointless. Your social media posts get a smattering of likes from the same people every time. How many people click through and take action? Not a lot. All that work for virtually zero impact on your visibility or audience growth. I'm Jessica Abel of Autonomous Creative, and today we're going to burst your social media bubble. We're going to talk about how to grow your audience beyond your personal network, and you're going to love this. I'm not going to harangue you to post more and be consistent on social media. I've got good news and bad news. Yes, again, let's get the bad news out of the way. Posting on social media, especially the way you're probably doing it, isn't going to work to grow your audience outside of your personal network. Good news is you don't actually need to rely on social media to grow your audience. In fact, when you're getting started and when you have a relatively small audience, you probably shouldn't. There's an enormous push to build your fan base by constantly creating content on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, and basically everything else all of the time. Here's the first bubble that needs bursting. Who do you think is behind that push? Tech giants behind these platforms, including this one, have created a system that incentivizes users to create free and valuable content that keeps people on the platform. They have highly paid professionals working every day to come up with ever more addictive methods to make constantly checking your feed, constantly posting and engaging feel essential. It feels crappy to be dragged into social constantly, yet we do it anyway. This is not a big surprise. You know this. But if you ever thought about the role you play as a content publisher as well as consumer, Big Social would literally die without us. They need you to clock in and work for free in order to sell your work to advertisers in the form of attention. That is literally their core business. That's what they do. You work for free so that these businesses exist and make massive profits. No posting, no checking the feed means social media giants will collapse. Remember Friendster, Zanga, MySpace? No wonder they wave their hands around so wildly, trying to convince us that this is the way. But their motives are not aligned with yours. They don't give a rat's ass if you amass more followers and sell your work. They only care that you keep showing up and keep producing content for free. Whether you're constantly churning out content, or posting and ghosting, or focusing on amassing followers by researching just the perfect hashtags, your efforts might be doing a hell of a lot more for whatever app you're on than they're doing for you and your goals. Does any of that frenzied activity translate into people concretely becoming long-term fans, buying your work, and sharing your work with other people? It usually doesn't. Followers are not your fans for life. In fact, following you is just a sliver of their audience journey. And we talked about all the details of that last time, so you can click the button to check that one out. So, sure, you can make social media work for you. People do, but only if you're willing to go to work for social media. If you're willing to follow their shifting and unpredictable work rules, be consistent, post a lot, follow trends, embrace new formats, and put up with not having control over how and when your content is shown to people who have actually signed up to see more of your stuff, you might be able to go viral. You may sell some work. Just remember, you're building a castle on borrowed land, and it's not just land that you can get kicked off of. It's land ruled by unpredictable and opaque laws that can change on a dime. You in? Okay, then. I know how hard it is to imagine a world in which you don't put any real energy into social media. It may feel like you're giving up on visibility goals entirely, but that is not what's going on. If you're feeling resistance to this idea, let me make the stakes clear. You're a creator. You make or do something awesome that you need other people to receive and use and appreciate. You need to close that circuit in order for your work to be complete. You may even want to make some money with it. Heavens to Betsy! You've got limited time and energy to grow your audience and close that circuit. Creating promotional content takes an enormous amount of time and energy, and it can make you feel vulnerable to put your work and your thoughts out there for the world to see. However, on the other side of the coin, social media is a kind of security blanket. It's a veil. Separates you from the world a little bit. It allows you to present a curated self and it gives you the illusion of control. But it's a smokescreen. You're busy all the time. You're making stuff. You feel productive. And that distracts you from the fact that it's not really working. And that's just demoralizing. So instead of just publishing and hoping for the best, whether that's on Twitter or Instagram or your blog or on YouTube, you need to actually go out and find people who are likely to be interested in your work and talk to them. Yep, I want you to grow your audience outside your personal network by actually interacting with people outside your bubble, virtually or in real life. Okay, that's terrifying. And also, how? Where? It's just super simple and old school. Give it a solid think. Think about where are you going to find groups of people who are already interested in things like your thing, and then go share your work with them. Some examples if you're a cartoonist or a writer, you could do events at a library. You could hit up a comics club. You could join Reddit discussion groups. You could find interest groups for related subject matter, online or offline. You could put on live events and readings. You can ask existing fans to share. So you put together a post that they would want to share and then ask them, just say, can you share this with people? You can even use social media, but not for publishing, but instead use it like socially, as in like making relationships with people. So conversations in groups, DMs, comments, that kind of thing. And if you find yourself thinking, that's incredibly inefficient, why should I talk to 10 people when I could be talking to thousands of people on social media? I see you. I see you. Ask yourself, are you actually talking to thousands of people on social media? More likely, you're talking to 10 people. And usually it's the exact same 10 people. And they're not listening. Instead, go for the impact. People you have direct interactions with are much more likely to take action. You can ask them to buy. You can ask them to subscribe to your mailing list and then ask them to buy. Efficiency comes into this because you'll power through the first two phases of the audience journey far faster than by dropping random social posts into people's feeds that they're not paying attention to and hoping for the best. Another highly effective approach for growing your visibility is engaging with other people's audiences, other people whose own circle of friends and fans are similar to your ideal audience. This process of scaling up your visibility is absolutely parallel to how we function in social groups. When you're the new kid in class, it takes a while of chance encounters for other people to figure out what you're all about and decide if they want to be friends with you. There might be one or two brave, intrepid kids who reach out right at the beginning, but the majority of the class will wait. On the other hand, if you arrive at a party full of strangers with a friend who knows you, she can make introductions. She can identify points of interest in common and connect you with people who you're likely to get along with. There are no hard and fast rules about how to borrow an audience. You can invent any method you like. The main principles to guide you are number one, how can I help the person who is helping me by sharing their audience with me? And number two, how can I provide something of value to the people who are showing up? This outward focus takes practice. As creative people, we're often trained to just look inside for inspiration. I think this is a mistake. I mean, remember how I was talking about the circuit that needs closing? That requires two parties. I personally find inspiration in collaboration, sharing, and exchange as much as or more than in my own isolated head. Okay, then the question is who and how? Think about who else has customers who are really similar to yours, but who does something slightly different for them. Authors could partner with other authors in the same genre, with bookstores, literary magazines, book groups, and interest groups having to do with their subject matter. Web designers could partner with illustrators, copywriters, branding experts, graphic designers, technical implementers, uh, virtual assistants. Artists could partner with volunteer groups and clubs, groups interested in the subject matter that they depict, interior designers, art handlers, framers, festivals, even local companies. Course creators could partner with anyone who teaches things that they don't, but to the same people. What comes before and after your course? They think about who makes the tools your people need, who implements whatever you're teaching, clubs, interest groups. Basically, just get creative. I mean, that's what you do, isn't it? Okay, so what do collaborations look like in action? I mean, they could be anything you can come up with, but some of the standard formulas are things like referral relationships with others in your field. Maybe you interview some of those experts online or in person. You could do a social media takeover. You could write a guest post for a relevant blog. You could curate a show or edit an anthology, or you could just be in one and just make sure everybody who's in it all shares. You could show up live at an event and give a talk or a workshop or lead a panel discussion. You could make up a challenge or like a game, make up something fun to do. Give it a hashtag or a website, get some friends to join in, and you could do something like, I don't know, a scavenger hunt or a drawing challenge or a writing challenge, stuff like that. Basically, anything where you're offering a chance for a group of new people to get to know you and what you do. Okay, to recap, if you're going to grow your audience beyond your existing network, you're going to have to get out of your friends and family bubble. Principle number one is that while it seems like social media is the primary method that you should use for this, in fact, that's a huge smokescreen fed by tech giants whose motivations are absolutely not aligned with yours. So you can safely ignore social media if you're taking action in other ways to grow your audience. The easiest and most accessible way to do this is to seek out groups of people who are likely to be interested in your work and just actively share your work with them. Second, more leveraged way to grow your audience outside of your existing network faster is to share and borrow audiences with other people who serve and sell to the same customers, but differently. This feels like kind of a lot to take in. We're going to be digging in and making this approach super actionable in our Sideline Social workshop, so check the description for all the details. And to make sure you see all our videos for creatives on topics like growing your audience and getting more done, just hit subscribe, and I will see you next time.